travel first, and there's a poop deck in the background somewhere. There's Chris. I've got no idea. I don't even know what a poop deck is. But this is not off to a very good start. But Chris Coleman is on board a big ship somewhere in the ocean. We've finally got rid of him. Chris, g'day.
Okay, first things first. It's not the poop deck, it's the pool deck, okay? I can understand the typo, but it's the pool deck. I'm actually sitting at the Sky Bar on board Royal Caribbean's Ovation of the Seas, and we are within a third of a degree of the equator. We are heading from, right now, Honolulu to French Polynesia, and we're that far north of the equator. We might even cross the equator while we're recording this one. But, Alex, as you're aware, but as other people perhaps joining us for the first time are aware, this is a little bit of a travelogue about what I'm doing as we can start to reintroduce Australians to the wonderful world of global travel. And you asked me the other day, can I supply you with wow moments? And I suddenly realised I actually managed to forget one from Hawaii before we got on board. So are you okay if I share with you a very quick wow moment from before we got on board?
Yeah. Have you got a photo or something that you can show all of us?
I can indeed share a photo with you. And if I do that, I reckon that's probably going to pop up if I click there.
In a few seconds. Okay, so this is going to happen. Yeah, there's obviously a bit of a lag because Chris is a long distance away. Have they asked you to walk the plank yet? Because, I mean, maybe I can ring the captain and ask him to do that.
You have asked me to walk the plank previously, and we'll see if we can make this happen. The joys of live technology. You didn't do this even 5 years ago.
That's perfectly fine. So, okay, you had a wow moment. Where was that wow moment? Tell me that for a start.
The wow moment was at a restaurant called Tommy Bahama's. Now, Tommy Bahama's is actually a clothing company based in Hawaii, but they have at their flagship store in Waikiki, they have 2 floors of clothing store, and then it proceeds to a restaurant and a rooftop bar area. Now, I went there for dinner about 5 years ago, and the highlight of the dinner, and the food, by the way, is largely local, from local producers to plate, but the highlight there 5 years ago was the dessert.
Right.
And it would be fair to say that for 5 years...
This is pineapple with a bit of cream on it, and then there's a chocolate cake in the background. That's what I can see.
You would think that it's pineapple. That is actually a creme brulee made inside a pineapple.
Oh, well,
now, how good is that?
That is a genuine pineapple. Thank you. Right. Good. Okay. And a creme brulee made inside a pineapple. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that is something special. You wanted a wow moment. That was the wow moment from Hawaii. So if you're not into cruising, but if you want to go to Hawaii, check that place out. Tommy Bahama's. It's right next to the Hard Rock Cafe, which is also great fun in Waikiki.
Hang on. How many desserts did you have? There's two, and there's a third one in the background. Did you eat all of those? A full chocolate cake as well?
I had the creme brulee. I may have had a smidge of the chocolate pudding in the background. The other one the third one in the background is another creme brulee, which someone else at our party had. So I had one and a bit.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to roll you off the ship in 19 days. I'm 100% convinced of that. Okay, so there's the moment in Hawaii. What about the closer to where you are now? What about the wow moments there? What about some photos to show me?
Okay, I've tried to explain before just how big this ship is. It's 348 metres from that end to that end, but it's also very tall. Where I'm sitting at the moment, we're about...
What do they call that?
That end is the aft. That's the forward. That's the aft. But we're also, where I'm sitting now is about 45 metres above sea level. So we're a long way up the ship. Now, this photo is not of the ship we're on. This is a photo I took from one of the upper decks while we were still portside in Hawaii. We were looking over the top of this thing. That's not a small ship. We were looking over the top of that thing. So just that I would share that with you. And they make you feel very welcome as soon as you get on board, and they tell you where you are by way of the universal language of cupcakes.
Of course they do.
How cool is that?
Fine. Oh, wow. Oh, isn't that neat? Oh, very good. Now I hope that they've got you in the kitchen doing an Australian flag too. That's the very least you should I imagine the Australian flag will be rolled out for the morning we dock in Sydney. So that's still a fortnight away. This thing is going to be a long, long cruise. But one thing I get asked about by people...
But one thing I get asked about by people when you go on a cruise, about going on a cruise, is what's the accommodation like? So I think that's probably as good a point to start with this one now that we're actually ocean. Bob, I'll get out of the way for a second and say that's the pool deck in the background, the children's play area over there, which spouts water and does all sorts of wonderful stuff.
Is that a life buoy in case you plunge in and don't come out too quickly?
Yeah, they have lifeguards on Ovation of the Seas. They have floatable things. And over to my right, by the way, is the lovely Evelyn from Peru, who is the world's best bartender. She makes drinks, and I enjoy them. And that one's nearly empty. She's making something else for me. So we'll have that in a few minutes.
You're incorrigible. Can you bring her along?
Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Bring her into the frame and say hello. You can't introduce somebody.
I can't. She's on the other side of the bar. I'm not allowed on that side of the bar. And but anyway, would you like to see? Would you like to see what the room is like? And I'll talk you through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this is my cabin. This is actually my cabin, and here is a walkthrough as we go in. No, this is the full video. We're really exploiting technology here. So here we go. This is as we enter the room. Now it's completely keyless. So swipe the card and enter it, and you go. And I don't know what you think, but that's a pretty sizable room there. You know, you're spending 19 days on board. Yeah, it's bigger than the Airbnb we had in Honolulu. So we go around. Now there is a bathroom. There's no communal bathrooms. You get a bathroom of your own. And again, you know, fully equipped bathroom as you'd expect. And we'll come around in a second. You'll see the shower. The shower is surprisingly big. And I've been on cruise lines in the past where if you have a really hot, steamy shower, it'll set off the smoke alarm in the room. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen on here. Believe me, I've had several really hot showers. I like a hot shower. There's nothing better than a hot shower to loosen up the muscles. So that's the shower. You can pump it up there. It can run in a massage setting or a rainfall setting. So that's the bathroom, and then we move around. Plenty of storage space. So this is one of the cupboards here. Two hanging racks in there. So probably should have told my wife that I was going to film inside her wardrobe before we showed that, but too bad. The bed is a full king size bed, and you may wonder about the robes.
Great.
Want to ask me about the robes?
Well,
I'll tell you about the robes.
Is it large enough for you, Chris? I mean, is it an extra?
That robe is large enough.
Good.
And if you're in the Crown and Anchor Society, platinum level or above, you get a robe for the duration of your journey.
Nice.
The TV is not a small TV. That's a 24 or 26 inch. I haven't measured it, but it's a sizable TV. You can pull that out as well, so you can watch it from the couch in the room. It also has the position indicator, which says where you are. And again, plenty more storage. Some storage above the beds. We've got a couple of bottles of wine. And
this is an important question. Is it all American programming? I mean, the television, is it all US or what is
Global programming. So there's BBC, there's US sports, there's Australian. That's my wardrobe in there, which has the safe in there as well. And plenty of drawers down the bottom as well.
There was a proviso here. You could only do this if there was red and black there. The mighty fighting Essendon football machine. All I saw was boring blue. What's going on?
Well, no one would understand it on this side of the equator. This is the room, the fridge in the room, which is actually more of a cooler than a refrigerator, but you can keep stuff in there. We've got, as you can see, some lollies and some water in there. And you asked about the balcony before. You refused to accept that I had a balcony. So here's the balcony as we head out. And this is one of the balconies that grows in size from the front of the ship towards the back. So that from there to there is about 5 feet, maybe 6 feet across. And then it's a couple of feet wider on the right of screen as it comes into shot now. So that is a large balcony. A couple of chairs out there as well.
The water looks pretty reasonable. Chris, it's not...
The water is very reasonable.
Yeah. I'm impressed. It's not pounding waves or anything like that, is it?
No, it's very calm out here in the Pacific at the moment. The other plus we've got, as you can tell from what you can see there, is we're under shade most of the day. It's only when the sun gets very low in the western sky that we get a bit of sun coming into the room. We have a magnificent view of the sunset. Unfortunately, just as the sun was setting tonight, we had cloud coming in. But these people there, they get a great view of the sunset, and they get a bit more sun during the day. But I like being able to sit out in the shade, but in the warmth at the same time, listening to the waves and catching stuff. And we have a look back in, and there you go. There's the view of the room from the other side.
How high up?
We're on deck 13.
I've got no idea how many decks there are.
We're deck 13 of 16 overall. Deck 13 is the highest level of accommodation on board. So We're a long
wow.
way up. It'd be, I reckon, 35, 36 metres from our balcony to the water.
Oh, terrific. Okay.
You wouldn't want to go overboard.
No, I was going to say, no. You're not going to walk. You're not going to be walking the plank from there. So this is all very, very good. The cabin looks very comfortable. It's bigger than I'd imagined it would be. Can you give me overall dimensions? I mean, in terms of meters, how many meters from one side to the other?
I'm going to take a stab. I reckon it's about. I reckon it's about 20 metres long by about 5 wide. Okay, I'll do a measurement and I'll get back to you on a future edition to give you a more accurate number.
Have you ever been?
But it's very comfortable, and we're spending plenty of time there. Sorry.
Have you ever been to Japan?
I have been to Japan. I have not stayed in a capsule hotel.
No, not a capsule hotel, but just a normal hotel, and they make brilliant use of space, but it's usually pretty small. I've been there a few times, had the good fortune, and that's really. But I'm just trying to equate this to something that I or anybody else listening today or watching today could relate to.
It's a funny shape because, as you saw, the bed is a crossways in the room. So it's a funny shape. The room is long and thin, but it would be larger than my bedroom at home. So it has room. You're not feeling like when you're sitting on the couch, you're not sitting there with your knees up around your chest. You can stretch out there. The bed's a king size bed.
I wanted to ask you a question about the food. One of the problems, and I've heard this from a number of people. Because it's sort of eat all you want, people just eat, and at times that they become slovenly and don't do anything. And now, how do you prevent this? Because the food must be gorgeous. It's always like that. I can only imagine the spreads must be stunning. So how do you balance that with the need to sort of work it off?
Okay, 2 things, and I will devote. Before this cruise is finished, 1, possibly 2 episodes of the podcast to talking about the food, okay? So bear that in mind. I will also devote some time to the gymnasium, which is spectacular. It is a really good gym.
Oh, you've actually seen the gymnasium, have you? Have you actually been in the gymnasium, or you just viewed it for our purposes?
No, I have been. I have used.
Very good.
And I felt the pain for a few hours afterwards.
Okay.
But there are 2 very important things to remember about cruise ship life. The first is you come on as passengers. The second, you can leave as cargo. The other part is that just because you can eat a million things, you don't have to. And being able to exercise some sort of control there.
Sorry, there's no control. When you see all this food, how do you get control? That's the point that I'm making, that I've heard from so many people. The food was fantastic. I couldn't help myself. And when they come back, it takes them 6 months to a year to work off what they've put on.
Yes, it can happen. But at the same time, if you're going to put on some weight, you may as well do it by eating really good food. And there's lots of really good food. And trust me, Alex, in future episodes, I will tell you about Chops Grill. I will tell you about Jamie's Italian. I will tell you about the Ozumi restaurant. I will potentially tell you about the chef's table, full-on multi-course degustation dining experience, and a few other bits and pieces as well.
It's time for you to go. Tell me what ship you're on again.
All right. We are on board the Ovation of the Seas. We're doing this all courtesy of Royal Caribbean International's magnificent Voom, the fastest internet at sea. 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this. The internet on board now, you can do this. We can actually do a podcast like this live from literally a couple of 100 miles, if not less, north of the equator in the middle of the Pacific to you back there in Oz. And Alex, I'll talk to you again soon.
It's always a pleasure, Chris. Enjoy the rest of your cruise with your wife, and we'll speak to you in a few days. Catch you then. Good stuff. All right. So.
Okay, that's